Welcome to all the mini enthusiasts, classic car enthusiasts. I thought, soon as we were doing, I did a 1 and 2 part on the brakes. I wanted to go over, just do one on bearings and constant velocity joints generally. And I had a little thought yesterday, and I was talking to you about the safety on brakes and so on. And like I said, at the end of the day, if the calipers are in good enough condition, you want to rebuild them, no problems. But you know, just make sure that you look at everything and inspect it, dirt or rust or anything that can be a real issue. So I had a little thought about this, and the reason I'm changing a lot of stuff on this Mini is I've gone to a lot of trouble to build the car, put the correct panels, heritage panels in it and so on and so forth, because I want to keep the car. And what I don't want to be doing is revisiting it, going back to do a CV joint or a bearing or whatever it might be, because I have so many other projects that I need to get on with, particularly these two XKs. And that's the main reason I'm doing it. I don't want to go back and keep visiting all the time. There will be maintenance to do, but the kind of mileage that these, or kilometres these cars will get, will be nothing in comparison to the first time round. So I've had a little thought, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these calipers, this one I had off yesterday, and actually the body and everything else, the internal part is all in very good condition. It's just that the pistons are bad, and they obviously need sandblast and clean up. These are AP Girling brakes, original ones. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rebuild these. I'm still buying the new ones, but I'm going to rebuild these. We'll sandblast them, clean them, paint them, and I'll do it on video of me rebuilding them. And then when they're finished, I'm going to give them away, both a complete set. After they're completely rebuilt, I'll do them all on video, so you see what's going on, and then I'll paint them. And whoever the winner is, I'll even paint them in the colour you want. Obviously, they need to be done with caliper paint, because there's very extreme temperatures in these when the brakes are being applied a lot. That's just why the chrome gets damaged sometimes. Mainly the damage to these pistons is where people are taking out the pads and putting mould grips on them and all kinds of stuff. I mean, some of the things I saw when I had my MOT station, you would not believe. I've seen guys come in with mould grips on these flexi hoses, so the car was only working on one caliper. But anyway, it's another story. So I'll rebuild these. We'll sandblast them, paint them, and then I'll do a question, and whoever wins, or who wants the calipers, I'll send them out to you. I can't say any fairer than that, because I hate waste, and I don't want to see it just junked. And if they're not as good as I think they are inside, then I won't do it, but I will use the other set from the other Mini Cooper, so I will make a good setup. So that's the thing. So if you look in the next few weeks after I've been to the UK to get the parts, I'll do a video on it, okay? And I'll give them away to whoever needs them for the Cooper, and I'll ask a question, and that's who I'll give them to. Okay, so just quickly on this one, on here I've taken the ball bearings out. They're actually here, and I just went out to check them. Normally you wouldn't bother, you would just take it off. I need to take the shafts out because obviously I have to sandblast the shafts, and I could just take them up, but I want to check these inner and outer CV joints anyway. But the reason I took these off is I wanted to show you something. This cage can only go on one way. It can only go, you can see, in fact, there's a taper on this, so you can't pull it off this way or put it on that way. It has to come in from the inside, and I just wanted to show you that. So I'm going to show you the best way to get this off. You can see there's a tiny little nub in there. And what you need, there's a C-clip inside here, on just where the splines are. And what it needs is just a sharp shock to get it over that, so it compresses and allows it to come off the spline. So I'll do it quickly and I'll show you. All you need is one sharp. You can see there. Once the C-clip is compressed, this thing will just come out. Okay, it's a little bit tight, so I'll just take it off. There you go, it's gone. And you can see the amount of rust that's inside there. Oops. Excuse me. you can see the amount of rust that's inside there on this shaft. I'll bring it over so you can see it. You can see how bad that is. Look at that. I don't think that's copper slip, I think that's rust. Yes, it is rust. I'll just give that a little clean up and we'll just see. Oh yeah. If it was copper slip, it wouldn't look like that. That's rust. There might be some copper slip in it, maybe, possibly. But there you can see this C clip I was talking about there, and that needs to be compressed to get it off the spline. And the same thing with this end, with the outer CV, same situation. I can take this gate that was already broken internally, so I can take this back, just so you can see it. I'll pop it in here and tighten it back up again. Okay, and I'll give it another. I'll take this end off. What's the best thing with this, with the outer, is if you can, is try and get somebody to hold it and pull on it, because then it will go over the C-clip a bit easier. So something quite blunt, nice, get it nice and straight, short, sharp, blow, and it will compress there you go, and there it's off. And you can see it inside. So, you can see this side obviously is a lot better there. So now what I'll do now is just do exactly what I've done with this shaft, which is clean it up, and then I've put rags on it because we want to sandblast it. You can see there's quite a bit of layers of rust on it. So I'll do the same thing. I've done the same thing with the hub. Obviously I'm leaving the old top and bottom ball joints in because I want to get all the corrosion off first, and you might have noticed I put the caliper bolts back in into the top because obviously I want to clean them and I don't want to damage the thread with a sandblast. I haven't taken the steering arm off, but I will check it just to make sure everything's okay, but these will come off only once it's clean. You can see I have a rag jammed in there and pushed in with a screwdriver so it can't damage the inside. Here's the other hub, and again I check this to make sure it's good, but what I have done on the other one, this one is, well, they're both going to get sandblasted. You can see I've put tape over it, so it doesn't damage that face. Here is no problem because this is the bit that's going into the old disc. You can see there, that's not an issue, but that one is because there's a seal sitting on it, a rubber seal. So yeah, so you can see that's a fairly easy way of getting them off, but nice short sharp shock and get it over. I'll put that away and take it down for sandblasting. Now on these hubs, just want to go over the bearings. So I'll just quickly take this seal out because obviously it's an old one. There's the old seal, and I'll take the bearing out. Now, just a quick one on bearings. Again, I don't want to teach anybody to suck eggs, but the thing with bearings is these bearings are tapered roller bearings. Okay, and they have the roller bearing itself, and then they have I'll just show you here, and you can see they're on a taper. So getting a bearing and then doing something like this, which is a good way of getting dirt out of it. If you dropped it in and cleaning fluid and then you want to get all the crap out of it, you can do it. And then just by doing this, you can hear it's quite noisy. Sounds very noisy. Because one thing, there's not any lubrication in it anymore because it's been cleaned. And the other thing is that's not the way the bearing is meant to be used. The bearing is meant to be used under load when it's in its seat. So the more load you put on it, the load you put in, there has to be movement on the cage and the rollers and the inner bearing, otherwise they can't sit central. And you can hear now there's hardly anything. And once that's greased up,